Second time guest on the pod.
I'm Krishna Poda here, co-founder, CEO at a company called Saras Analytics.
This episode, we are breaking down actual practical use cases for AI in organizations.
So we've been in the data business for about 8 years. Our belief has always been to build businesses a single source of truth. And what AI is doing is accelerating the adoption of that single source of truth and putting the power of that in your pocket.
At HexClad, over the last few months, we've really gone all in on AI.
For a lot of businesses, they're typically running their business in spreadsheets, right? Where there's an analyst pulling this information into a gigantic spreadsheet, and then the business users are using that spreadsheet to review what's happening in the business. It's very time consuming for different people to put that together. So the way we solve it is consolidate and automate and certify your data. So build a certified data warehouse where your data from marketing, operations, finance, COGS, all of that comes together.
What might have taken, whatever half a man hour to create a good creative before, like now you can get 5 if you're leveraging AI.
All right, welcome to the Operators Podcast. We've got a great episode for you today. It is brought to you, as always, by our great sponsors, Fulfill, Northbeam, Postscript, Rich Panel, and Saras. Let's get after it.
Jason, you know what's incredibly powerful? When your 3PL and your ERP are connected and talk together beautifully, when they make music together, when all of your orders pass back and forth. Have you experienced that?
That's what we do with Fulfill. And I got to tell you, life before that was a mess. Living in spreadsheets, dealing with 3PLs, not being connected. We're a massive organization now, and we literally couldn't live without this. We've got 4 or 5 different nodes for fulfillment, and everything talks to each other through Fulfill. It's incredible. This is a problem I was trying to solve from the day I got to HexClad, and we've implemented Fulfill, a couple years ago now. And it's kind of like a financial analyst with Excel. Good luck trying to take that away from them. Like, you could not take Fulfill away from my operations team and my accounting team anymore. That's how integrated it is into our systems. We couldn't live without it.
Yeah, and what you tried to replace was middleware, right? So typically, if you don't have something like Fulfill, you have Shopify and you have a 3PL. Your 3PL is old, outdated software, and you'd have middle software trying to connect everything, and that software would break. It's manual, it's whatever. Fulfill is this like amazing data pipeline that is rock solid, directly taking all of your orders and routing them so you don't have to. It's how we can run whatever. You said you have 4 nodes in the US. We have personalization. We have warehouses in Canada that ship to America. We have warehouses in Mexico and Kentucky, and we have all of our international warehouses. And I don't have to think about it at all. Inventory's up. Customers get the best shipment for them. That saves us the most amount of money. No split shipments, no worry, no hassle. Fulfill has done that for us, and I love it as a piece of software. If you are at Beanstalk in New York, they will be there, and they have free Groons. Show up to them, get your gummies. They're all about Groons. Chad is a loyal operator listener, and he's a Fulfill customer. And Fulfill is a Groons customer. So show up at Beanstalk. They'll have a little gift for you. I love the software. Jason loves the software. Jason, anything else to add?
I want some Groons, man. I should show up for this thing.
You better be at Beanstalk. We're all going to be there, dude. All right. Talk to you later. Dude, it's so hard to get us on the same page about anything. That's the challenge. People are like, we should do more shows. The show should be better. There should be higher production. I'm like, it's so hard. It's, everyone's going on all the time. But Krishna, we're not here to talk about podcasts. We're here to talk about AI in the future. This is being called the AI podcast of the year. So no one's even heard it yet, but we're going to talk about AI in its full depth. First, who are you? What are you doing? Why are we talking to you?
Sure. I'm Krishna Poda here, co-founder, CEO at a company called Saras Analytics. We are also one of the sponsors of the podcast. And we've been doing some interesting things around AI and e-commerce, and at the intersection of the two. So looking forward to the chat.
Nice, man. You're second time guest on the pod. We'd have you on here even without taking your money. Jason, maybe talk about what you're doing with Saras Analytics right now and why you demanded we talk about AI today.
Absolutely. I was the first member of the pod to start working with Saras, just wanting to get my data all in one place, knowing that there was going to be many ways to leverage our data. And as AI continues to just move at lightning pace, I've been talking with Krishna in the background because I want to really just, I'm a dummy and I want really simple ways to get at my data and ask it questions, right? And I started really liking Chat GPT, and Krishna and I were talking about this, and Krishna was like, we're really transforming the business with AI. So that this is like, and it's all moving so fast, right? So like in the last 6 months, I think, from what I understand, Saras has just done a ton. For me, it's about how do I manage the business better? How do I get at, and you manage businesses better with data, and to really leverage AI in a business and financial context, you need to have you need to have really good data in the right place for the AI to read it, right? And so, and then just in general at Hexclad, over the last few months, we've really gone in all in on AI. I think it's just worth noting. And I remember back, Sean, you did a small reduction in force. We did a small reduction in force. And one of the things that you had in your talking points deck was like, we're going to make Ridge an AI company. We're going to build the company on AI. And, that was excellent foresight. And it was about 2 months later where we kind of followed you. And I think AI is going to be the operating system of business. Sam Altman said something like that, and I'm just pushing everyone to do it. And I was pushing Krishna too, and of course he was working on it in the background. But yeah, Krishna. So that's kind of the way I see it right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. So we've been in the data business for about 8 years now, and our belief has always been to build businesses a single source of truth. And what AI is doing is accelerating the adoption of that single source of truth and putting the power of that in your pocket. Imagine getting up, asking AI, what's my contribution margin for last week? And you get an answer instantly. Or you ask AI to give you a business summary of what happened yesterday, and it gives you an answer without waiting for an analyst to put together a report. The analyst is sourcing data from, 30, 40 different systems and getting that data weekly versus getting it daily in a report, versus having that power in your pocket so that you can ask that question at any given time and get that information. In my opinion, that seriously unlocks the business, right? Because now you're not necessarily waiting for data and insights. Those are in your pockets. You're just a question away from getting the answer that you need to, move forward with your decision making. So that's the journey we are enabling for brands. That's what we are doing for you guys as well. And again, we are in the early phases of AI, but what's ahead is something that is very, very exciting. So that's where we are at. And we're looking to work with Sean and you and the rest of the team also to put this power in your pocket.
Yeah. So let's this episode, and this is probably going to be like, we have like teaser clips at the beginning. This is going to be one of them. This episode, we are breaking down actual practical use cases for AI in organizations. Krishna, what you said was, imagine asking a chatbot what happened in your business yesterday. Shopify's trying to solve that with, they're calling us the sidekick, right? The Shopify sidekick.
Yeah.
And that works great if you are a single instance of Shopify, right? The more complex your business gets, the harder and harder this is. And all of us have complex businesses now, right? If it's Jason with Costco and Amazon, international Amazon or international Shopify stores, we basically have the same setup between me and Jason, some wholesale accounts, some Amazon accounts, some international Amazon accounts, some Shopify accounts, like all of that stuff. It's like, that's where it gets really hard to start pulling the data. You can't just ask every single one of your sidekicks, and then Amazon doesn't have something like this. You have to start aggregating that data yourself. So you have to start building that either data lake or data pool or data warehouse, whatever you want to call it. You have to put in one place and then be able to query against it, right?
Yep.
And that's really exciting. But before we get to what that future looks like and actually putting your data all together, Jason, you talked about going AI first. I could share some specific examples about what Rich is doing, but I would love to see how you're getting productivity gains in 2025 using AI for a large enterprise, right? You're hundreds of people at this point, hundreds of millions in revenue. Like, what's been the aha, this is actually working moment?
Well, there's been personal ahas for me. and then overall ahas with just the ability, like I think the ability to communicate more clearly around an organization is huge. And I don't need to go into that in too much detail because that's like sort of very specific to me. Like our content team, our growth team, they're just standing up like for example, like we could Hexclad GPT, right, where you can literally build everything, just this incredible like knowledge base to pull from. Any task you're trying to do, like I am actually trying to build Hexclad GPT, where just everything about the company, all the information is there. So it just makes you so efficient. It's sort of like a super powered company intranet is something that I think is a super cool one for us. And I, as a recovering lawyer, I'm a big stickler for communication and written communication, and I think it just makes everyone so much better to leverage AI and ChatGPT in presenting information and delivering information, and it's just going to make us all be able to make decisions faster, to make better decisions and make decisions faster. It's not without its flaws. The GPTs give me that's wrong, and I fix it. Like it's going to make mistakes, but that's the beauty of it, because it forces you to actually like read it, use it, leverage it, and so it's a combination of the AI and the human to do everything better. I think there's a combination of AI and human that's going to allow everyone who really embraces it to just be better at everything. And sure, there's lots of areas where you just got you're going to take away a lot of human work, but that's okay because the right people are just going to get smarter about how to use it. And so that's like organizationally, my content team, so much around marketing and like understanding the customer. Like take all of your reviews, take everything about your product, take all of your marketing, take like everything that's ever been said about your company. And like there's just so much that you can learn leveraging it. So like I think our content strategy team, content teams, a growth team are leveraging it really well. And then on the operations side, which is sort of where it goes into Krishna and Saras, like there's so much to catalog and track and keep together and put in a place. And it's like the AI is the way to do it right. All of your SKUs, all of your distribution points, like how do I manage packaging across all these SKUs like this? Like you can literally find any single problem in your business and be like, okay, the first question you got to ask yourself is, how do I attack this problem with AI? Any problem. First question, how do I leverage AI to attack the problem?
Yeah, totally, man. And asking someone how they use AI in an organization, I think I set you up for failure there, because it's like asking how someone uses the internet, right? It's like it's so ubiquitous. And you brought up some good ones, right? So we're going to talk through the creative side, we're going to talk through the data side, and then we could talk through the communication side. Like all of these are different verticals that like AI kind of just runs through, right? So Krishna's here to talk about the data side, and there's the way AI is used in the data side is just entirely different than the creative side, right? So we're going to go through some actual practical use cases for all of this. Because Krishna's here, we got his time. We'll go through data first. Here's a challenge inside of Ridge, right? We sell different products, okay? Now, that sounds stupid because every company sells different products, right? But we have unique acquisition points into the brand, right? So I've brought this up that in some international markets, I sell more rings every day than I sell wallets. So in that market, I'm a ring brand, right? Mm-hmm. And in a given day, I might acquire 5,000 or 10,000 customers. 3 years ago, it was 100% wallet customers. Now, maybe half of all my customers are wallet customers. So it's really important to us to track different customer cohorts based on product intro type across all of these different verticals. Yep. I can't explain how hard that is, right? Like to track revenue in rings on Amazon every single day, right? And then doing that for tech and travel and wallets, because we've just gone so wide as a brand, and we have to measure marketing efficiency of all of these different campaigns. What's my CAC for a tech customer versus a travel customer? Tech has an AOV of $60. Travel has an AOV of $600. I can spend wildly different amounts of money there, right? So Krishna knows the way we were doing it in the past. We had a team, like literally probably 4 people in charge of data entry, like going in every day and pulling from each one of those markets, validating it, and then reporting on it, right? So it took me 12 hours to get the numbers for the previous day. Krishna came in and, just built data connections. So Saras Analytics is it's like a data consulting team that just sets up your data warehouse for you, so everything flows in cleanly and just make sure it's running every day. Krishna, am I getting that right or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, so we have a product called Pulse, which is what you're using, Sean. Think of Pulse as your data foundation, right? And that's what Jason has as well. We are pulling in data from all of these different marketing channels, 3PLs, your Fulfill, and your ERP systems like NetSuite, all of your marketing channels globally and marketplaces, stitching all of that data together and building that data warehouse for you, right? So there is this phrase called garbage in and garbage out. AI just accelerates that if you're asking questions quickly and getting wrong answers quickly, right? To avoid that is why you need this data foundation. That's what our product Pulse delivers for you. And then we have IQ, which is our AI product, which digs into that Pulse data and answers questions that you were asking earlier is, hey, how did June 2024 compare to June 2025? And it'll give you an answer. And then you can, engage with it like you would engage with an analyst and ask deeper and deeper questions and summarize and understand what actually moved the business forward in comparison to last June to this June, or last Thanksgiving to this Thanksgiving. What changed, right? Is promotions driving the business? Is advertising campaigns? Have they become a lot more optimized? All of these questions, which you would have to dig through, analyze in a spreadsheet, are just an English sentence away. As long as someone can frame a problem statement, convert that into a question, and plug that into a chat interface, you get your answers quickly in a few seconds, right? So that's what IQ is going to enable for you.
Yeah. And so that's a practical use case. I mean, I do a lot of the reporting at Ridge, so I spend a day or 2 days, either every month or every quarter, putting together a summary of what happened in our business. And a lot of that is report pulling. I'm going into Shopify, I'm doing exports, I'm then exporting that, putting it, compiling it, cleaning the data, adding an Amazon data, and then I tell people, okay, this is how much whatever we sold, right? So that's like actual hours coming back just by having a clean data warehouse and then putting AI on top of it. I can just be like, hey, this is the report I want to see. You pull it for me. So that's a good example. The next one you're probably an expert in is actual production of code, right? So these are use cases for AI in a business. We just went through the data one. Now we're going to talk about technology, right? My team's doing landing pages entirely vibe coded, right? Going into a Lovable, going into a Bolt Not New. How much is that helping you build the tools you're launching today?
Yeah, so interesting question, Sean. So every company is going through an AI transformation. So are we, right? As a technology company, we also have to lead the way for our customers to benefit from the transformation that we are going through. A good chunk of our front-end development happens using AI. My analysts have started using IQ internally so we've had that in beta internally for a couple of quarters now to try and refine and make sure that we are, giving out the right answers when customers ask it. But internal productivity, there are a certain category of tasks like data pulling can be fully automated, right? The next stages of that is doing a deep dive analysis of why something happened in your business. The amount of time it is taking to answer those questions is shrinking because the data pulling is becoming much faster now with AI. AI can also do the analysis, but it may or may not sometimes get the series of, prompts right, or the series of, or do the root cause analysis properly. So there are things from that perspective where things have to improve, AI has to improve, prompting has to improve. But definitely from a data, even in the data warehouse, there's a dashboard that refreshes every few hours, but there's still times where the specific view that you as a business user need might not be in your dashboard, right? For instance, I am not much of a consumer of a spreadsheet. I like narratives better for me to understand what a dashboard is telling me. So in that sense, AI is helping me get that answer, get that personalized answer out very quickly.
In the last 90 days, my brands, Pila and Lomi, have doubled our support capacity without adding a single new hire. And that is because we moved to Rich Panel. Our CSATs are at an all-time high. I think we're in the 90s now. 50% of our tickets are fully automated, which means the team can basically handle 2 times the volume without burning out or adding more people. And with their Trustpilot integration, both brands went from a 2-star to a 4-star plus, actually, I think 4.5 in like 90 days. And the migration was probably the easiest part. I was surprised. Rich Panel handled everything: data migration, automation, setup, training. We were live in just 14 days. That's insane. And they guarantee you'll cut at least 30% of your tickets in the first 60 days, or you get your money back. Not bad. So if you want to be ready for Black Friday without scrambling to add extra agents, because, I'm recording this and Black Friday's around the corner, you should just head to richpanel.com/demo. Tell them Matt from Operators or Sean or anybody. We all use this thing. That's why we're promoting it. Tell them that we sent you, and they will take very good care of you. That's it. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, Krishna, it's really cool to hear how you guys are using AI to build a better product. But let's go back to the data piece. If you're a Mike Beckham, he doesn't have a data warehouse right now. How does he actually get AI ready, right? If he wants to bring all his data into one spot, how can he start doing that today?
Yeah. Typically for a lot of businesses, Sean, that we work with or they come talk to us, they're typically running their business in spreadsheets, right? Where there's an analyst pulling this information into a gigantic spreadsheet, and then the business, users are using that spreadsheet to review what's happening in the business. It's a lot of time consuming. It's very time consuming for different people to put that together. So the way we solve it is consolidate and automate and certify your data. So build a certified data warehouse where your data from marketing, operations, finance, COGS, all of that comes together. Once your data is prepped and ready, the foundation for your business from a data standpoint is there. We layer in AI on top so that becomes your friendly ally in your pocket, wherein you can ask questions and get the right answers out of it. Right. So the journey in that we've always believed in and we continue to invest more in is set up your data infrastructure or data foundation covering your entire business, and then layer in on top AI, and then give access to these AI tools to your teams and let them play with it. Right? Let them ask questions, get answers, understand why campaigns are not performing well or what campaigns are performing well. Give the power to them and let them innovate on top and let them become a lot more efficient.
Well, dude, the reason I'm laughing, you say brought up giant spreadsheets. Krishna knows, like, we were running our business off something called the daily growth dashboard, and it was breaking because of how big it was for Google Sheets. I mean, have you seen a bigger spreadsheet for a business?
I think Jason's operation spreadsheet might cut it very close, actually.
I was going to say on the marketing side, does our dashboard and Sean's dashboard, like, are they very similar? Because if his is better than mine, we need to upgrade ours.
Dude, ours is a course better. No, but I think that's good, right? I think if you want to use AI for data, it just makes a lot of sense. You have to get your data in one place. And if you're a simple business, if you're like, hey, we just sell on Shopify, bam, you're solved. You don't have to you don't have to move anything around. But as soon as you start adding complexity, you just have to get these things speaking the same language, right?
Yeah. Even if you are on Shopify, Sean, Facebook's ad spend data is not going into Shopify, right? So if you start asking questions like, what's my customer acquisition cost, you might not be getting that from Sidekick.
That's where you're the expert, man. I'm just a podcaster. That is a good point. Okay, now let's talk about the creative side of AI, right? Jason, you brought up the HexClad brain, right? Like HexBot. Do you want to kind of unpack how that's helping you guys? And I can share what we're doing at Ridge. And Mike, I don't know if you have any good AI examples in creative, but tee them up.
Well, look, I'm not in the details like you, Sean, but I know, like, when we brought on a new creative strategist, she was given an assignment to essentially, like, build out her own chat GPT of all of the information that she could use to help produce ads, right? And I look at it and say, what are all the pieces, like all the marketing piece, all the marketing metrics that are going into dashboards that we want to leverage? Well, what are all the things about our customer, about our product, about our value props, like to just so much easier crank out the ad copy, the information that you want to provide to the customer. and leveraging all that even down into product development. There's just so much information out there about how people view our brand. And that's how we should be looking at how do we create the next best ad? How do people view our brand? Everything in Amazon, everything in our reviews, everything on the internet, and our brand Bible, our value props, put that all into the marketing GPT, and it's just super powerful. So that's more of like kind of a general, that's the way, we talk about it at a high level, and then the teams are in the weeds executing it.
Yeah, look, and we talked about how AI can get you started with data, right? And we talked about a little bit about how it can help you code things into production. This is probably the easiest one for everyone to do, right? It's, your brand better than anybody else. And I'm sure you have a brand book somewhere, or when someone gets hired, you talk about like, oh, this is what we stand for. You go on the website, you get a feel for the brand. Well, you can perfectly put that into a custom chat GPT, right? So you get a business account, you click custom chat GPT, you upload all those assets, right? You upload customer interviews, the yeses, the nos, like all the things you love. And then you have something you can just ask questions against, right? Hey, help me write copy, right? We've done this in Claude, but 80 to 90% of all copy that you see in Ridge ads, in Ridge scripts, on Ridge websites, all that is being done through AI because we have a bunch of assets we already pre-approved, right? We have a bunch of scripts we already really like. So copywriting for sure, right? And then it's like brand guidelines, getting people up to speed, like a Ridge training bot. We have that going right now. It's helping with onboarding and everything else. Then the next one is, we already have all these assets. This is pretty next level stuff, but now we're training custom GPTs to produce similar high performing static ads, right? And we have a custom thing set up where every day 100 static ads get auto generated and just dumped into a Google Drive, right? So now then we're building more automations on top of it to automatically launch those in ad accounts. So it's like we know what we like as a brand. We're able to replicate that. We know what copy we like. We know like images we like. And now we've built like a ads factory that just all day runs and just dumps ads into a Google Drive for us that could automatically upload it. So that's next level you can do on the creative side of the business. Mike, any good use cases for AI on the creative side, or maybe you want to go back to the data side or even the technology side?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're doing similar things on the creative side. It just allows you to do more, like to just get more throughput. What might have taken, whatever half a man hour to create a good creative before, like now you can get 5 if you're leveraging AI. So I think that makes sense. To me, one of the more interesting use cases is using it in product development. And I mean, AI is really good for gathering lots of information and putting it in one place, and then either automating processes off of that or kind of synthesizing that and consolidating that where you have a real clarity of thought. So when we were releasing or working on our newest product that we released, we did a lot of customer interviews, and there's actually a service that helped us to do some of this, that AI is really deeply infused in it. But it's pretty clever. I mean, if you've ever done customer surveying, for example, it's a qualitative exercise. You're usually like, tell me what you like about the product. Tell me what you don't like about the product. And you're like asking them kind of qualitative short form answers, open-ended answers. And so if you do, let's say you interview 1,000 customers, what it used to be is literally like you're having somebody just read through all 1,000 and saying like, hey, what do you think are the themes? Now it's literally like you can do that 1,000, you can drop all of that into, like you said, a custom model or something, Sean, and just say, hey, summarize. What are the 3 biggest features that customers like and would want to be sold on? What's something that I might not think about emphasizing about the product, but that really stood out to customers? Like, what are some, dangers about like things that people don't like that we might want to refine about the product? And it's just fantastic for that kind of stuff. So, I mean, really, this goes back to the idea that Krishna was talking about, which is to really leverage AI is directly contingent on getting good data. Whether you're getting good customer interviews or, Sean, like, for example, with the using it to generate creatives and kind of creating an ad factory, you've got to get it good examples of here's what works, right? And here's performance data so that it can kind of draw some inferences about what you would like. But once it has a good high quality data set, it's always going to be really good at coming back with suggestions. And I think that just more generally, what it can become is it can become a central hub where almost everything you know about a subject is consolidated. So like it's great to have a place that you can go to and say, hey, generally across everything we've done, what works for us with creative, with our particular demographics? Like what are the principles that should always be front of mind with any ad campaign? If I said we're running these 5 creatives on Meta right now, what are some holes? Like what are some angles that we're not taking that have historically worked for us or whatever? And it's great at that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and this is where Rich got super lucky that we've just had structured data for a long time. Like Krishna can make fun of the daily growth dashboard all he wants, but it's 5 years of sales data and spend data by every single channel. Like it's just, that's a great foundation to start off of, right? And like if you're not doing that right now, if everything is just, different spreadsheets that don't talk to each other, nothing gets consolidated, it's just, you have a way harder time moving to an AI first system because it's all just structured databases, right? Mike, I want to bring up, you brought up the customer interviews. So yeah, one big unlock this year was making custom chat GPTs, right? So custom GPTs inside the business account, or so you can do it inside of Claude. And all of us have customer surveys, right? All of us have, when somebody returns something, they have to give you a reason, right? And we make people type a sentence or two. We've been in business 10 years. We have thousands of these things, and putting in there and making the customer bot, right? Making a bot that you can query against. Just like how Jason has a brand bot, he has the Hexclad bot. So if you have a question about, hey, are you okay with this copy? Hexclad bot. It's like, no, we wouldn't really say this. We were more of like going for this ethos. You do the same thing with your customers. Be like, hey, do you like this ad? Do you like this script? Do you like this product? And you can just start getting, actionable insights off of that.
Yeah. So we have like personas in our business. Like we've defined, okay, here are some personas that we go after, and we have a custom GPT for each of them. Like one's named Megan, and she's whatever 35, and she has 1 kid, and she's kind of like an avatar. And so we've got like a Megan bot where it's like, okay, you see this ad copy, what do you think? Like how do you respond to this product? What and it's like you said, Sean, it's really helpful. I think that it's a really good example of using any kind of customer feedback, because when we as humans hear customer feedback, we're subject to all the biases, the cognitive biases. So like recency bias, that's a real thing. If I'm a customer support rep, for example, and the last 3 tickets I had are about the locking mechanism on a bottle breaking, then I'm like, the house is on fire. This locking mechanism is an absolute dumpster fire. It might be that those are the only 3 tickets we've gotten on it out of like 1 million bottles. This sure feels like it's a major issue. And we deal with this all the time when we try to go to our customer support reps and say, hey, what are the issues we should be aware of? Obviously, they're going to filter everything through what they've seen the most of or their kind of recency bias. Another example of bias is that I have ways that I tend to think about our customers, and I tend to think about the business. I'm really curious what Jason's doing right now. But I have all these like ways that I tend to want to think about the business. And when I get feedback that confirms that, it's confirmation bias. I latch onto that feedback. When there's feedback that doesn't fit in that, I can tend to discount that because I'm a human and this is how my brain works. But if instead I just feed a bunch of data into a model and I just say, hey, objectively, what are the trends here? What are the hot spots? What are the inferences that you would take from this? You're able to get away from a lot of these biases that really we're bound by as humans. And customer feedback is like at the very top of my list, whether you're doing product dev or you're talking about customer support or anything else.
Jason, what do you like about Saras? You were gone for the past week in Italy. Were you checking Saras dashboards?
I wasn't checking anything in Italy, but I will say this, like whenever anyone on my teams, like growth team or anywhere else, like sends me data anymore, it's likely coming out of Saras. And every once in a while, I'll get something from them and it looks really slick. And I'm like, where'd you get that? Is that Saras? And like, yeah. And I always feel really good about our investment. I do get a daily email of some metrics out of Saras that comes through. But one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is AI. Duh, right? Everyone is. Duh. But like, I finally woke up a few weeks ago. I was like, I got to get serious about this. And I was actually talking to the Saras guys, and they launched the next generation AI powered stuff in the platform, which I'm excited about. It's Saras IQ. It's invite only right now. If you mention Operators Podcast, you can probably get access, hopefully. But the next level of all of this is first with AI, you need to have all of your data somewhere. I mean, it's going to be really messy to just drop stuff into different AI platforms. If you have your data in one place, and then you can really leverage AI. So the way I thought about our investment in Saras Analytics was getting all of our data in one place, understanding our customers better, understanding our marketing metrics better, but then being able to layer AI on top of that is, I think, the really exciting next level here.
You brought up bringing in Costco, Amazon, and Shopify. The ability to have all sales channels with the same data is so important. If you're listening to this and you sell on Amazon, you know how painful that platform is. You have to wait like a couple extra days to pull your reports. Like the SKUs aren't the same as the rest of your SKUs. Like the titles are different. So like to get actually like clean data to compare, it's very manual. Using Saras Analytics, they matched all that up for us. So like they cleaned all that data. So I can actually look at what is the true margin profile of an Amazon sale. What's Amazon return rate? What's Amazon customer frequency? Like all the type of data compared to our .com and have like a comprehensive overview. And now with their new AI tool, I don't have to look at it. I could just ask it. It could just tell me cool questions. So doing that across our 5 Shopify stores as well. We have an EU Shopify store. So now I can compare EU Ring customer cohorts versus Canadian Ring customer cohorts versus Amazon Ring customer cohorts. So now we're getting to different functions of my business across different channels, different categories, and actually looking at the margin, the repeat rate, and like, is it worth investing in these different things? So if your business starts to feel like a spider web and just like keeps going and going and going, it's just like this nonstop proliferation of different channels, maybe it's time to check something out like Saras Analytics.
I remember, Sean, at the very beginning, this is a very typical Sean thing. Sean was like, what is this? Why do I need this? Right. And I'm actually really happy that you come to understand like how important having a data warehouse is and what it does for managing your business, because you were not like a true believer from the beginning.
No, I was angry when you told me I needed to pay for something new, but Jason was right. He convinced me. He got me on board. I'm using it. So a rare Jason W. So thank you, Jason. I'm
very rare.
I'm on Saras Analytics. He's on Saras Analytics. Proud sponsor of the Operators Podcast. So if you want a data warehouse and you want an AI powered data warehouse, tell Saras about the Saras IQ feature, and then you crave it. You're demanding you get access to it. So, all right, guys, talk to you later.
Yeah, Mike, I have a lived experience here. So in the beginning years of Saras, we used to do a lot of survey analysis where our data scientists would go in and build these clustering models and stuff like that, create these word clouds saying which word is getting used where, what combinations of words are showing up. And that would inform product if there are issues in the product, like you said. It could inform marketing because they could now take a different angle. All of that is now reduced to a few set of prompts now. It's just incredible, right? So generative AI, by definition, is more text heavy, video heavy, image heavy. So any use case which has AI, any AI use case which is relying on any of these 3 input streams, AI is fantastic. What we are doing with IQ is trying to make AI work with data, right? Which is, while it is in a structured format, we also have to build a lot of context, just like you're building a persona context you mentioned the example of Megan, who has a certain buying behavior, so on and so forth. We are also building context with respect to e-commerce so that we can take this structured data, put a layer of language on top of that, train the AI so that it can then answer these questions so that you can get what you're looking for. But in general, yes, any use case where one of these 3 things are there are ripe for innovation and automation and driving efficiency.
Krishna, you mentioned this, but I think it's actually worth saying that pretty much everybody who runs a business at any kind of scale had to have some structure to their quantitative data. Now, like you said, Sean, you guys have been meticulous about it, and you probably had probably a more structured and more extensive data set than a lot of brands keep, but everybody has to have some of that stuff. One of the things that is interesting about AI and this next generation of AI is that a lot of your structured data is visual, and that doesn't really fit into a spreadsheet. But AI makes it possible to now have a lot of your structured data that's kind of lived off the spreadsheet. You can now incorporate that. And we've kind of said it, but we haven't said it in those words. And I think that that's a really interesting thought, that all of your data that's been non-numeric has been basically qualitative and off spreadsheet up until now. And now we can start to marry our quantitative data with all this other data, the visual data and everything else. And that's where some of the breakthroughs are as well.
Dude, okay, totally. And now circling back, the CX thing is so real. I mean, we had a CX person who at channel in Slack, emergency, we have a huge issue breaking out. And I'm like, what's the issue? They're like, we sell a key case. It's like a thing you put your keys in. They're like, they're breaking. And I'm like, okay, well, if they're breaking, that costs the company whatever, $10 million. What's going on? We dive into it. There was 8 tickets that day. I'm like, guys, I sell about 1,000 a day. I'm like, okay, we're fine, right? And it's the recency bias. If you get 8 tickets in a row, you're like, oh my God, the world's melting down. I'm like, hey, look, there's a lot of customers. There's a lot of tickets that come in. Randomly, 8 of them can happen in a row, right? And nothing changes. AI does help with this. So
I was just going to say that AI helps reduce informational asymmetry, and that's really the problem, is that customer support rep doesn't really have the context of how many that you've sold or how many people got one and left a 5-star review. All it sees is the 8 tickets and 8 unhappy customers. And so they're doing exactly what you would expect them to do. And this is where we all deal with informational asymmetry in our businesses. One of my executives knows something that I don't know because we have to kind of divide and conquer. AI gives us a really easy way to consolidate all that, where there's less informational asymmetry across the business, where to the extent that I feel comfortable having transparency, a customer support rep can know as much about the business as I can in a bunch of different areas. And that's never really been possible before.
Yeah, imagine a scenario, Sean, where one of those 8 customers is a really high value customer for you who is having a bad experience. How does the customer support rep understand that this particular user is a high value customer, right? You hook it up back to your data warehouse, push the data back into your CX software, and boom, now you have a ticket, you have the customer LTV, and that is telling the support rep saying, hey, this is a really high value customer. We need to do something about this, something maybe a little bit more seriously or treat with a little bit more of a precedence, right? So all of those things are possible now.
oh yeah, dude. And you could just imagine a world where all these systems work together so much more, playfully, right? Where, not only are we seeing the customer's name, the customer's issue, the customer's LTV, the last review he left, the last ad he saw, right? Like this actual context being passed across. That's going to be a beautiful future as soon as we get there.
Not too far, Sean. So we can pick a few use cases and start solving them for you.
Yeah, man. Dude, I love to hear that. Custom operators, Saras Analytics features coming out soon. Mike, you brought up information across your organization. So we're trying to go through all the ways you can use AI today in your business. We started with data. We talked about, using AI to launch better, faster, cheaper software solutions, right? We talked about AI ad factories. We can go in deeper in that if you want to. The customer personas I think is a great one. HexCloud brought up the chat brain. I also just want to bring up getting information across your organization. So, I mean, all of us are probably, and actually we're going to go back further. This is where I think being remote has advantages, right? Where I always say it's better to be lucky than good. Because we were remote for the past 5 years, everything had to be written down, right? Or recorded. So we have good looms. We have a whole Notion training board set up. And the person in charge of it, Adam at my team, is a psychopath. So it's all incredibly structured. He's done it forever. And then, we have processes documented. We have, I think Slack's just like a master case of having everything we've ever done in one spot. And then we've been recording all of our meetings forever, right? We have all these stand-up meetings that are recorded and they get put into, transcripts or whatever. And with Granola, which is like an AI note-taking tool, or even the built-in one in Gemini, they're awesome, dude. like we have everything we've ever talked about, and we can get those summaries across the whole business way easier. So are you guys seeing any value in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. And one of the reasons I do think it's a good point about remote organization, Sean. I think that remote versus in person does force you to build different muscles. My take has always been that in person, the advantage is that there's room for conversations and ideas to spontaneously kind of come to the surface. And it's very difficult for spontaneous idea generation in a remote context, but that also the structure that's required to do remote well makes communication a lot better. I think that on a basic level, what goes on in companies is 90% of running a company is communication. It's moving information around inside the company. And one of the ways that AI is going to be more effective, make organizations more effective, is that you will need less nodes to move the same amount of information around. Or another way of saying it is you need less people to move the same amount of information around. And the more people that you're trying to keep on the same page, the complexity basically just goes exponential, right? So if you think about how hard is it, Sean, for you to keep you and Connor on the same page? And it's like, well, it takes communication, but it's a heck of a lot easier than keeping you and Connor and the rest of your organization on the same page, 50 other people or 100 other people. And at 1,000 other people, there's a point where it's like, this is almost impossible to keep everybody on the same page. And I think AI makes it much easier to do that because information can be asynchronously accessed. Like right now, if I want, if you want to keep people on the same page as you're learning tools through writing and stuff. But also, like I would guess that part of the problem you have, Sean, is that there's just a ton of that data. Like if you take all the communication that happens in Ridge, there's just tons and tons of information being passed around, right? What I think that the future of AI is that you go from prompting, which is like, okay, we've got all this data and I can go and I can ask the GPT questions, to where it can kind of proactively help you. So, for example, what would be awesome in Simple Modern, and I think what we're building towards, is instead of me going to my custom model and saying, like, hey, how are sales on this issue? Like, what issues have come up that I need to be aware of, that I need to be managing? That, I get on there every morning. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up, chat? What do I need to be knowing about? Like, fill me in. And it's like, well, hey, here's 15 different interesting things that are going on in the organization, information that's being passed around, decisions that are being made that you just probably want to be aware of. Here's a couple in particular you might need to insert yourself into. It'd be like, oh man, that's super helpful. So I think that the more effectively you move information around, the less people you need, and the less people you have, the easier it is by definition to keep a team high performing. And then I think we're moving towards a world where instead of me having to go and prompt the AI to tell me what to do or to give me something, it's going to be able to start prompting me and saying, hey, because I know you and I know the organization, here's 5 things you need to look at. Here's a couple of ideas I've come up with. It's kind of like, when you have a really good employee, they don't wait to be told what to do. They proactively bring things to you. And I can totally see the AI getting to that point over the next few generations. As we've said, all of this is contingent on you have to have the information for the AI to have context to be able to get to that point.
Sean was saying about being really digitally native, right? As being a remote workforce, I think is really valuable in the ramp up phase for being AI native. Like, I think it's really valuable. Because just everything is documented, everything is there, everything is digitized, and the AI could hopefully read it properly and do something with it. However, if a less remote, more in-person organization does the work to get there, I think ultimately it's the same. I do think that the drive-by discussion in an office is incredibly valuable. And that's what remote organizations miss. But I also think that an organization like Ridge, which is, I would say, average age skews pretty young, is maybe less dependent on the drive-by. But I in my world, and the people that I just had a bunch of bankers in the office yesterday, and they were talking about the great new HexCloud office, and we were all talking about the ability to just be together and do a quick 10-minute drive by. And that's literally what I do all day, is is people do drive-bys me, and I do drive-bys somewhere else. And I feel like we get a lot done. But certainly being like really digitally native and remote with everything in living in Slack and Looms and everywhere else is a huge advantage in the beginning.
Well, yeah. Well, so in the future, you have to wear those pendants that record everything because I'm going to tell you about something. This isn't built yet, but I'm going to build it by the next time we talk. Okay. So all meetings are recorded at Ridge. Okay. All Slack is essentially public except for DMs at Ridge. Everything that happens in Notion is public, and I have Saras Analytics. So I'm going to have my head of AI build a Slack channel just called "What Happened Yesterday." Okay.
Exactly.
And I mean, I can get this done in a week because it'll build an N8N solution. So that's like an automation tool that will just go into, I'll have all transcripts and all Slack communication be automatically scraped into a Google Drive labeled by day. Then I will make an N8N thing, pull it into a custom GPT that summarizes it. And then I'll make the same N8N pull Saras Analytics. What did we sell across everything everywhere? And it will just be a Slack channel that just says, hey, here's what happened yesterday. Here's what you talked about in all the meetings. Here's what everyone's working on. And here's your sales. I think I can get that done in like a week.
That's our vision for IQ, actually, so that you don't have to get NAN, get a license for it, move that data to Google Drive. Instead, that same data can be fed into your Pulse infrastructure, and then IQ can build the same thing on top. So that way, your transaction data, your conversation data, your review data, all of that sits in a single place, right? And then you build an agent on top of that, which give you the answer that you're looking for. So behind the scenes, we are also calling different set of AI models. We use Gemini, we use Cloud, we use OpenAI, so on and so forth, and we sort of orchestrate it. But yes, so that's a use case. Internally, we are building our data foundation. Myself, I'll give you some interesting use cases that I have. So Mike, you touched upon user persona. From a marketing standpoint, we are figuring out how to get 5x with a lean team, where we can use AI and amplify our marketing messaging. So that's one use case. The second use case is we have different types of customers with different engagement models. I want to understand which are these engagements going really well, which of these engagements are, going a little slower than I would like. Right now, that would involve getting on calls with a bunch of different people, track their tickets, so on and so forth. I don't need to really do any of that, right? I need to sit down, build a context, pull in my Slack messages, pulling my Jira tickets, so on and so forth, put it into my data lake, and then connect AI to that data lake and start asking questions and get my answers back. Same thing with sales calls, right? I have to chase my sales team to help me understand what are customers asking you about, what are things that we are not doing today that customers are asking, because of which, let's say, we are either losing deals or deals are getting delayed, so on and so forth. All of that is in chat transcripts. So we have a connector in the platform for a service called as Clary, where all of these chat transcripts are created. We are moving that into a data lake and then using AI on top and building agents on top. So yes, while today what you have with Pulse is structured data, there's a lot of unstructured data that we could be moving for you and building agents on top of that.
Okay, it's no secret that margins are getting squeezed and profitability is a challenge for brands in 2025. Not a secret. That is where Northbeam's profitability benchmarks come in. It's a new feature. You could check it out. This is a tool from Northbeam that tells you the exact targets that you need to hit to get to profit inside of Northbeam. So no more guessing, no more month-end financial surprises. Hitting these targets helps you ensure that your ad campaigns are actually driving the right behaviors to make your business profitable. That is wonderful. The brands that track this stuff probably already do in Google Sheets. I know I do. I'm going to be checking out this Northbeam new feature. And Northbeam is a big level up from this. And here's what sets kind of what I have seen. Here's what sets profitability benchmarks apart. So instantly you get to quantify your goals into clear benchmarks. Every ad gets measured against those targets right inside of Northbeam. That's kind of cool, actually. And you see, and you can kind of at a glance see which ads are doing well, which needs to go against profitability benchmarks, not just ROAS or whatever else you're using right now. You scale up the winners, you cut the losers, you know the drill. It is hard to argue that this is not great for brands. Profitability benchmarks from Northbeam is like having a speedometer in all your channels, campaigns, ads. You can kind of see everything at a glance against profitability, not something else. So stop leaving money on the table, fuel your creative performance, make every ad dollar count in every channel, hold them all to the same standard. If you want to reach out to Northbeam, just let them know the operator sent you and they will take good care of you.
Not to make this, remote company versus non-remote company, but I think we got very lucky at Ridge a million times. And here's a couple examples recently, right? Our Northbeam data is incredibly structured because Connor has OCD, right? So because our data, every ad we ever launch is like the name of the ad, the type of ad unit, where we're running, like all that type of stuff, makes it very easy now to put AI on top of it and be like, give me the best ads, right? So that's been super beneficial. And it's the same thing with this daily growth dashboard, right? And having everything recorded. And now I'm working with Saras Analytics that like I just get a daily update. So across all channels, all businesses, and also not just a sales update, what people are working on, right? Like, hey, what's something we talked about yesterday on stand up? We are changing our luggage line, right? So, tariffs are raising prices everywhere. We want to make a more competitive luggage line. So I have to go through and we have to make those changes. We have to physically redesign the thing. That would be, hey, we resolved this project yesterday. We know what we're doing. We're moving forward. That can be recorded, put into my Slack, and I just get an automatic executive update. So communication is going to be a big one. But guys, we talked data, technology, creative, branding. I mean, how else are you guys using AI? What are some big wins that you're like, okay, I was going to hire somebody, but I don't have to now?
I mean, I'm going to tell you what, my biggest win personally, my personal biggest win, I've said this a couple times, is that I'm all about being efficient in communication. And there's so much coming at me. It's out of control. It's a fire hose drinking 24/7. And, the days of people sending me an email with a bunch of attachments that I need to go through are done. Like, I'm just no longer looking at them. Like, stop it. Just because you can just send me a summary using ChatGPT. We created JSON GPT, but it's very easy to do it any way you want. And it's like, it's almost disrespectful now to just like send people like a voluminous information in like a block of text in an email and expect them to figure it out. And I'm like literally just dealing with this morning. And this is someone from outside the company who's asking for my help. And they sent me an email with 5 different attachments. And like, it just doesn't, you're not giving me the answer to the question. So I think this is going to make communication, for me, communication, like Mike said it, Mike was 100% right. Like running a business, it's all about managing the communication and being good at a business. Fundamentally, once you've established the baseline of a decent business with product market fit, right, that's actually selling and collecting money and is financed well, the next thing is always about communication. We're seeing it in product development right now. We have so much great stuff going on in product development, and we're talking about this one product that we're going to launch. And it's like, there's so many things that in the process could have been so much better with better communication. And so it all comes down to communication. I think for me, that's the people that are going to be the most successful are going to really leverage the AI for communication. I know I'm very biased because this is a specific issue to me, but I really believe that deep down in my soul.
So I'll throw 2 out. One is, and I want to kind of riff on what Jason was saying. The problem in our world is not that we don't have enough information, it's that we have so much. And obviously the amount of information being generated in our businesses and in the world, every hour is just almost completely overwhelming. So the issue is the curation of information. And using AI right is that you have something that can take all the information, but then it can curate what you look at. So Sean, to take a next step in your example, it's great to get to a point where there's a thing that can say, here's everything that happened in Ridge yesterday, and can put it in a Slack channel. The problem with myself, Jason, you just kind of said it, the average employee, is that they'll look at that channel for a week or two, and then they'll be like, 60% of this, 70% of this isn't relevant to me. And then they'll kind of stop reading it. What we want to get to is, yes, we have somewhere where everything that happened is known, but then there's this curation to each of the people in your organization of here's what you need to know of everything that happened yesterday. And I think that that's when it's going to get super powerful. Another use case that I think you're going to hear a lot of in the years to come, and I've started to play around with, is just using AI like a sounding board business coach, where I give it like when you're an executive, your job is judgment and decision making. So often you're making decisions about, do I hire or fire this person? How much of a raise do I give this person? Do I take the company in a direction that's going to be really frustrating to these parts of my team, or could even lead to a layoff, or could lead to, really moving somebody's cheese? And it's difficult to have a context where you can really discuss everything you're processing as a CEO within the organization. But, and a lot of people, that's their spouse. Some people are part of things like YPO or Vistage. Like I had an entrepreneur this week that I work with ask me, like, do you have any good suggestions for business coaching? I feel like I need some, some business coaching. And I can really see the models being good at this. Like I've actually been surprised when I've uploaded, I've probably had about an hour conversation with one, and I gave it context. And then I said, hey, I want to talk through a couple issues and how I'm thinking about it. And it was pretty good. It was pretty helpful. There is a risk right now that the models are pretty sycophantic. And so they will confirm what they tend to confirm what you're thinking. And I think that that's a way where they need to get better. But everybody could use a sounding board where it's like, I'm making this key decision. Here's all the information. I'm thinking about going this direction, but I'm not totally sure. Help me walk through this. And it's like, if it helps you make 5% or 10% better decisions, that's incredibly helpful to the organization, because when I make a poor decision about a key strategic decision, it can cost us millions of dollars. So that's another example that I think you're going to hear more and more people using it like a business coach.
Dude, totally. I just want to, to one point, 60% of people won't end up reading it. 70% of people won't end up reading this daily summary. Every week we have a weekly update where people go through and they summarize what they worked on. And I know that maybe 5 people read all of them. It's a public channel available to everybody. You can know everything your coworkers worked on, right? Very few people end up reading it at Ridge, but then when people talk to me, they're always blown away that I know exactly what they're working on and what's happening in an organization. People at Ridge think I have an amazing memory, that I'm just so deep in the weeds. I'm like, guys, I just read the weekly updates. I'm like, you summarize it for me, so I know what to follow up on, right?
Well, to take that a step further, Sean, I'll give you an example of something I did in the very early days of Simple Modern that I went away from, but that I'm going to go back to eventually. Like, one of the things you're doing as a leader is you're trying to keep a pulse on how's your team doing, right? Not just how are they doing performance wise, like how are they doing personally? Like, are they at risk of churning? Are they getting burned out? Whatever else. And so one of the things I did in the very beginning of Simple Modern is at the end of every week, I sent people a survey, and it was like, what'd you work on this week? What were big wins? What were big, L's? How are you doing on a scale 1 to 10 emotionally, physically, whatever. It was just kind of like how you doing and what did you do? So I did that up until we got to 10 employees or something like that. And then I stopped doing it. And part of the reason I stopped doing it is it takes up their time. But a bigger thing is it's I just didn't have the time to look through all the information anymore. But imagine a world where at the end of every day, I'm like, hey, everybody on Simple Modern has a 60-second survey they take at the end of the day that's just kind of how you doing? And then I've got a model that's letting me know hey, here's the 3 or 4 people that are not doing well, that are really having conflict with their boss, that are really stuck, that are, whatever. It's well, I can be a much better manager. But again, it's because I can feed way more information into something and I can curate. If I'm constantly being bombarded with how everybody in my organization is doing every day, I'm going to just tune it out. I can't process through all that. But it would be really helpful if I knew okay, here are the 2 or 3 hotspots or whatever.
Dude, I think that's great. Now, quick aside, Mike, Jason, do you guys have Slack at your company?
Yeah, we started on Slack. And Sean, this is actually an interesting thing about Simple Modern. We're kind of hybrid in that we're in office the middle 3 days of the week, and then it's work wherever you want Monday and Friday. And we were this way before COVID. In fact, when we really first got started, because we bootstrapped, we were basically still working previous jobs. So everything was through Slack. It was like we were a remote company. And so we have this kind of heritage, even though we're an in-person company, of starting basically as a remote company and then being a hybrid model And then obviously during COVID, we were fully remote for a while. So we similar deal. Everything's run through Slack since basically day one. And we actually it's funny, we were trying to figure out how to handle Slack archives because we had everything in there. And for a while, what I would do when I would hire people is I'd be like, you have to go through and read every public channel in Slack. That's all you're doing your first 2 weeks. You just have to read through the entire company history. And then it got too big. And then we started to realize there's kind of legal liability of just holding on to all that data. And so now we only keep two years worth of Slack data, and then you dump the rest.
Yeah. Jason, do you have Slack too?
Yeah, we use Slack. We've been on it. I actually was like a super early adopter of Slack back when I was a banker, when it was like the investment banks weren't even letting you use Slack. But we were small, so we could do it. Like most bankers, they won't allow you to use Slack. I don't really use it anymore, to be honest, because there's just way too much communication coming my way. But my teams, everyone uses it. If people know they want to get to me, Slack is not the optimal way.
Yeah, the reason I just ask is, look, it's great to have, because it is perfect for this AI future. It's all written messages. There's a lot of context because there's messages, replies before it goes back forever. But also, it's so expensive. If I was in person, I'd be on Teams or whatever. I'd have a hard time justifying the $20,000 a year for Slack if I was in person. Operators, Black Friday, Cyber Monday's coming up. Is your SMS list ready? If not, get on Postscript. They are helping us drive 14% more email signups through their better opt-ins. They're helping us get 6% more SMS subs every single day because they have perfected the art of pop-ups. You need to build your list. You have to nurture your list. You have to take care of your list. Postscript is the best at that. They're the number one name in SMS. It's their number one revenue driver. We are excited and ready to take advantage of all of the lists we've built all year, okay? Postscript has the best opt-in of all time. It is single sign-in, password autofill right on your phone, and we're going to get probably another 100,000 people to sign up between now and the end of the year. We're going to use those people. We're going to use SMS to nurture them through the funnel. It's an amazing tool. I love it. Make sure you're ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Postscript is here to help guide you through everything that you need when it comes to SMS. More opt-ins, more list building. Make sure you don't look like an amateur this BFCM. Use Postscript. Tell them Sean sent you. Tell them the operator sent you. Postscript will audit your SMS program for free and show you how to scale fast before Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits. When we talk about list growth, that's what you have to use before, during, and after Black Friday. You want serious gains. You want Postscript. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for being here. Okay, Krishna. AI tips and tricks. We covered 5 good pillars. I'm going to summarize those in the intro and the outro. But what did we leave out that you're like, this actually blew my mind and it's making us more efficient?
Yeah, for me, from my own personal experience, I've been playing around with AI. Everybody has been playing around with AI, but how do we have an AI strategy is a leadership problem statement, right? So having a leadership strategy for AI and how the company could move forward with AI has to come from the top. And then you have an execution plan against it where people are contributing ideas, and then have a structured place where you can capture these ideas and start executing one by one, and measuring the outcome of those experiments is something I would highly recommend. It's a structure that we are following internally. We follow a 3-lens framework: experiments that could fail, and I'm okay with them failing. And the successful experiments are either driving efficiency. In your case, Sean, you're creating more ad copies per unit hour, right? So per dollar spent, you're creating more ad copies, or it could be new capability where you're launching new products based on what you're synthesizing from your reviews or other things, right? So we are capturing everything internally. I'm forcing everybody to write a lot. I'm literally chasing 10, 20 people every single day, asking them to write, asking them to document, asking them to even document their thinking, right? For example, let's say you're launching an ad campaign. Generally, what ends up happening is you're getting into a room, you're brainstorming, coming up with an idea, and then leaving. But I can maybe get that information from a chat transcript, but I'm actually asking people to write everything down, so that can then become context to AI and so that the AI can build on top, learn certain patterns, so on and so forth, and try to get better on my company's context. So yeah, strategy comes from the top. Experimentation is critical. Sean, you've said you've highlighted multiple experiments that you're running with different tools. All of them are great. Some of them will end up scaling and become standard operating procedure for your teams, and some of them might actually become your capabilities. And having a dollar value against all of those things will basically help you see what is the ROI you're getting on these AI initiatives.
Totally, man. And look, and for the past 6 months, everyone's been saying AI, AI, AI. Like it's just people have been repeating it. We're starting to see actual business use cases across all these different verticals. So I think we're definitely in the we're outside of the experimental phase, and it's like, yeah, people are using this in workflows and actually making productivity improvements off of it. Right now, we are almost to the automation phase, but it's like, look, I mean, my team's smaller and revenue's up. So it's like, so they have to be the marginal increase in productivity value, I think, can be contributed to AI. The other thing we're doing at Ridge is, I had like a chief of staff. He was head of remote. Naturally, he's transitioning to like VP of internal projects, and AI is the biggest one of those, right? Like he's setting up an N8N. He's a savage when it comes to it. So like, this is what he wants to spend his time doing.
One of my favorite AI story before we wrap up, Sean, is we work with a large retailer. Their CEO originally did not have investments for AI, but then he decided not to open one of the stores, retail fronts, and then redirected that entire spend for AI initiatives. So that's what we've been helping them with in 2025. Let's see what unlock they get next year. But yes, it's a good time to start taking AI seriously and start figuring out how to incorporate it into workflows.
Okay, beautiful, dude. Okay, and this is going to be a long outro. Could even be an intro. We're going to see what we end up doing with it. But we talked about 5 core pillars of AI. First is going to be data. Look, the first thing you can do if you're just a simple business, just on Shopify, is you should start tracking some sort of daily growth dashboard, right? Ours was 5 years, and it was every sales channel as we added them, every spend channel. This is mission critical just to start documenting all this different stuff, right? And additionally, when you're pulling reports, when you need to validate data, I've just been uploading spreadsheets into ChatGPT, and it's so much better than I am, right? It saves hours and hours and hours. So like the data side is just start documenting your data. Eventually, if you have really complex data, you want to move to something like a Saras Analytics, like some sort of data warehouse, because then you can put an AI interface on top of it. They have Pulse, they have IQ. So Pulse is your data lake, data warehouse feature. Everyone, once you get to probably $50 million, right? Like if you have multiple Shopify stores, an Amazon store, and a wholesale account, like you have to hook all that stuff up. You put IQ on top of it, you put a chat interface on top of it, and then it's just you're automatically getting this data that you would pay. We were paying 4 different analysts to like pull it for us. So data is one of these core pillars, right? The next one is asset creation, right? Marketing in general. We built an ad factory. So using ChatGPT, plugging directly into the API, we are just auto-generating tons of static ads, right? We've automated that full flow. And dude, we're launching probably 5 times as many ads with the same number of people. And that's how we've been able to get advertising scale right now. So we're crushing that. We talked about brand. I'm going to put brand and customer in the same one, right? So we have Hexclad has the brand brain. You should probably make one of those. Jason has a Jason GPT. He's sick of people communicating at him. So he built a way to custom and summarize this. And then Mike's using AI to do product reviews, customer reviews, make his products better, make his customers happier, and better reach his core customer, which is Megan in this instance, right? Then we talked about tech and shipping. It's just really, really good for code. And then the last pillar that we talked about was communication across an organization, right? The more remote you are, the better you document stuff, the easier it is to put chat on top of it. And then just start getting summaries, making sure information's shared across. So anything I missed, guys, on this AI super episode?
Sean, that was awesome. That was an awesome recap.
Yeah, I think this is great because everybody knows it's the future, but we're really trying to figure out how do you actually do stuff with it. And I think everything we talked about today, this is like actionable. You can do it today and make your organization better today. There are clearly going to be use cases that are going to arise as time goes on. There's going to be killer apps that we don't know about yet, but I think this is very actionable, Sean. And even for me, it's inspiring to be like, okay, what are some of these areas where I'm not using it that I've heard you guys mention?
Well, and what's one final takeaway that I want to add is that you may not see today for yourself like incredible value, but there are a lot of tasks that you're doing now that are going to ultimately be in the AI, and now is the time. Even if you're like a senior exec, right now is the time to start learning it and leveraging it. Like everyone needs to be learning it and leveraging it, because all of a sudden these things are only getting better, and it's amazing how much better they're getting. So even if we're talking about certain use cases now, there are just going to be so many more coming down the pipe. So you just got to get ahead of it.
Yeah, dude. And I try to make this episode actual use cases right now, because everyone knows AI is the future. Like we've been hearing that from every big tech lead and every panel you've heard, right? But it's like, how are people using it today to actually make more money? I think we nailed some good ones, right? I mean, all of the ad copy, most of the ad scripts, all of our static ads are being generated with AI, humans off. This is like where we've reached full automation scale. We've had a couple good AI videos from Icon, but like that's still harder. That's 6 months from now. We're using VO3 for some hooks, but like anyway, it's all coming down the pipeline that more and more there's going to be less, big head stuff and actual use cases in the moment. Krishna, any parting words on this awesome pod?
Just thinking out aloud at this stage, Sean. So for me, I'm actually curious, is it a push from your side, pushing AI to the team, or is it more grounds up in terms of people coming up with use cases and then you approving it? Or is it just Sean just pounding on them saying, guys, go figure stuff out?
Dude, it's such a good question. I make the team use AI a lot. So like every month we have a Friday AI competition where people play games, and like it's asset creation. It's like make a landing page, make a game, make something in 30 minutes, show it off for the last 30 minutes, and the winner gets like $500. So we're doing a lot of that. And I've been like, I'll take over stand-up sometimes and show the entire company some cool AI thing, right? I'll be like, hey, look, I made this image, I made this product, I made these ads, right? And that's getting 80% of people to adopt, but probably 10 to 20%, maybe 10 or less, are AI super freaks inside of Ridge. It's just like people where if I never brought it up, they are on TikToks, they are on Twitter, they are looking for like the most cutting edge stuff. We probably have like, 5 to 7 of them inside the organization that like, they're the people where people are going like, oh, I need to level up my game. Because we have a guy, Antonio, on our team who he's in charge of freight shipments, like making sure shipments go where they need to go or whatever, has fully automated his job. He went on a stand up and he's like, yeah, I automated my job. Here's how I did it. And he's like, I'm gonna go do something else. And he's just all of the data. He's like, he was doing triple match, he's doing all this type of stuff, completely automated his job. He's like, I wake up, I click this button, now I'm doing other stuff. And I'm like, good on you, man. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff like that happening in our organization.
So one of the most amazing things that I've felt with AI is when I was working at these large companies, it was always difficult for me to understand the perspective of, let's say, not my manager, but my skip level and so on and so forth. Today, I can ask ChatGPT or upload a bunch of context and say, how would my manager have reacted to this situation? What am I missing? Right? So Mike touched upon it, having an executive coach in your pocket all the time. So anybody can level up very, very quickly. So that's one superpower, obviously. So for anyone who is curious, willing to learn, and has the ability to problem solve, AI is just going to amplify their careers, right? So it's amazing. I think with a small team, what you could do with AI is just significantly more, right? So that's the super unlock for us, and that's what we're trying to do here. And I think it's the same for you guys as well.
Dude, great parting words. That's the pod. Thank you for making it operators. We're not AI yet, but it could happen in the future. Jason, Mike, Krishna, all you guys are fantastic. Leaders in your spaces. Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for making it all the way to the end of this episode. Wherever you are in the world, it is awesome to have you here. If you do not already subscribe to this show, that is my one ask, is please go to whatever platform you are watching or listening to this on. It could be YouTube, it could be Spotify, Apple, I don't care. Just go hit the subscribe button. Please pump our egos up. It helps. And before we go, one more thank you to the sponsors, Fulfill, Postscript, Northbeam, Saras, and Rich Panel. Awesome guys running these companies. We all use them. These are our vendors. That's the only reason they're sponsors of the show. So thanks again to those people.